Yes, please. What's up, guys? How are you guys doing today? Hope everyone's doing well. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Welcome to another episode of Macro Mondays. We're going to cover Bitcoin and some of the stock markets, go into the different time frames. Yeah, welcome back to the channel. So Bitcoin over here, basically, we've been looking at Bitcoin for this past year, and it's technically been going sideways here with a little bit of volatility for basically a year now. Of course, awesome moves to the downside, 30% over there, 17% over there, but basically going sideways. And you could say we've been properly going sideways since the 20th of May, which is about almost 6 months now. So we've basically been going sideways for 6 months, 5-6 months now, and it is getting boring, guys. It is getting boring. And getting to Bitcoin, what we can see here is that we are now trading around the support zone. How big is the support? But what we can see now is that we're starting to, really test this 200-day EMA. And what you can see is, there's obviously this massive liquidation event over there. We've tested it over there, got above it for the weekly close, which we can go into just now. Tested it over here, and now we are testing it again. And the 200-day EMA is a massive, massive, massive support. And, it's like basically, standing on ice, right? You can jump on the piece of ice, you can jump on it again, you can jump on it again, and eventually it's going to break and you are going to fall through. So that's what we're looking at the moment. You can obviously see that, we've held up price extremely nicely around here. It looks good on a higher term time frame as support. But what we don't want to see, guys, is 3 daily candles closing in this area over here. If we close today, tomorrow, and Wednesday in this little zone underneath the 200-day EMA, it's going to be looking quite scary. And I do see that the zone marked in the green here will be tagged, and that's that, 100K plus minus 2% on both sides. Good mathematical zone over there. But guys, remember that when we do start to get below the 200-day EMA, it does get scary, guys, because this is massive support. And when you are below massive support, there's nothing supporting it up from the EMA standpoint. Yes, there's still macro 50% levels, and the most important 50% level to watch at the moment is this one over here, guys. This one over here from the low over here. We fortunately longed this whole move up, made the most of the market at the time. But that halfway point comes in at that 100,500 zone over here, and this is most likely going to get tested, guys, and this is going to be support. It should be strong support. Looking back in history, 50% level, you normally get a strong bounce off the 50% level. So, if we come down here, this should be your support zone. This is where you can definitely justify buying Bitcoin is at 100K. Massive justification of buying Bitcoin at that zone over there. But if we start to, get underneath 100K and start to consolidate underneath here, a little fake out, get back below, this is going to be your early warning signs to get out of here, guys. Get out. If you are below that 50% level, then we most likely are going to visit lower 50% levels as well. So what you want to see is strong bounces off the zone over here. It looks like we are going to come down there. I don't think this is enough to, push the market to this upper green box, which is still very much on the cards, guys. November is the most bullish month. Will it be bullish this month? We don't know. It's only the 3rd of November. We don't know. Bitcoin can rally 40% in November easily. So we can't write that one off. But just, by the reaction of this 200-day EMA over here, this doesn't look strong enough to propel Bitcoin to that move over there. Just like over here, guys, Bitcoin was not looking strong in the zone over here. But when we got that bullish divergence with extreme fear over there, pushed up, made that consolidation, get some strong bullish candles over here, this is when you can look for that market to turn around. And what you got to ask yourself now, guys, is we haven't seen anything close to that yet. We haven't seen this kind of price action where big move up sideways, followed by a big move up. This is the start of the move, guys. We haven't seen that yet. And yeah, we did actually avoid the death cross over there as well. So watch out for that. The timing often works well like that, but testing the 200-day EMA over here multiple times isn't epic for the program at all. So definitely watch out for this, guys. I think if we start to close lots of candles below this 200-day EMA coming in at literally where we're trading at the moment, 108.4K, 108K, let's call it that. If we start to close multiple candles below here, 100K is the target, is the next target. Can we look at some shorts? You know, we can look at some shorts. You know, if we start to close multiple days over there and then get another test into the 200-day EMA, we can easily be shorting in validation above this candle over here and looking into that 100K zone over there. And this is, guys, this is giving us that risk to reward that we are looking for, that 3-to-1 risk to reward. We know, you know, trades like this play out, let's say, you know, 50% of the time. And if you got a 3-to-1 risk reward, this is the kind of trade setup where you are making money, guys. You are making money in the setup. But guys, the setup has not been triggered yet. So what we want to see basically is for this EMA to roll over some more like that. And then of course, Bitcoin to chop around, close multiple candles over here, chop around here, get into that setup, look for that move to the downside. This is that typical short setup, guys, that we are going to be looking out for. Something like that, you know, tighter stop loss over there, get that trade. This is what we are going to be watching out for this week as a potential trade. And guys, there's no doubt that it is looking toppy, guys. I don't like this price action over here. You know, most likely going to be some kind of bearish divergence over here as well with these tops over here. We did come up a bit higher. But what you can see is that the trend on the RSI is to the downside. So let's look at that. You can see that, you know, throughout the cycle since March 2024, we have been making higher highs. This would be the perfect higher high in the zone up here. RSI, of course, lower highs. So this is bearish divergence. This is why, you know, we were looking for this push up to be the top. Didn't get as high up as people expected. But yeah, decent trading opportunities ahead. So that's what Bitcoin, guys, that's what I'm looking out for. You know, I'm just looking out for multiple daily candles below this 200-day EMA. That's going to trigger my short, and we need at least 3. Okay, so I haven't really been too actively trading the markets just because it's been, you know, we've been chopping ever since this huge liquidation event. We have just been chopping sideways. We got the 50% wick retest. We're going to have a look at Ethereum now as well and just speak about that 50% wick retest as well. But what you guys can see, guys, we've basically done absolutely nothing on Bitcoin for a month now. That's always expected. When you get these huge catastrophes, remember, guys, everyone lost a lot of money, unless you were short with all the boys. You lost a lot of money in this move. Of course, altcoins got absolutely smashed, obliterated, and there's been no trade since then. You can't tell me you're swing trading, you know, a little move like this on Bitcoin, guys. Remember that we are here for those bigger moves. This is the kind of trade that we are looking out for, and there's been no opportunity yet, guys. But this little short opportunity could be the one. You know, take some profits in there, and maybe we do come. This is the bear market short that we are going to be scaling into, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Let's have a look at Ethereum quickly, guys. So Ethereum, actually today, haven't looked too much at the charts today, but looks like, you know, we grabbed a lot of liquidity from these lows over here. But guys, I'm still waiting for my 50% wick. I still want to see this zone over here. This is where that I'm going to be getting excited on Ethereum. You know, if the cycle isn't over, if we're still going to go to all-time highs for Bitcoin, you have to expect that Ethereum is going to go significantly higher over the next, you know, few months. If Bitcoin does go back to all-time highs, ETH is most likely going to absolutely explode. And that's just what the charts are telling us, guys. We're going to have a look at ETH BTC on the weekly, of course. And For ETH, you know, we've been talking about two scenarios for the past, let's call it 3 weeks now. Scenario one, ETH gets above $4,200 and retests that as support, and this is going to be our long trade over there. That's the long setup that we were looking for. Or we were going to wait for a long off the 50% wick, something like that. So both still on the cards. And none have been triggered yet. So this is why, you know, you got to know, it's all about timing, guys. Timing the market is so important, and, you know, knowing to step away and not waste your time as well. After a huge move like this, market's guaranteed, in my opinion, to go sideways for 3 weeks, 5 weeks, even completely get everyone out the market, everyone loses focus, and then the big move comes. So guys, that is just what happens. It is what it is. So for now, this is the zone that I would be looking out for Ethereum, guys. This zone over here. We came super close to it. I've been extremely patient, guys. Patience takes a lot of experience, and, you know, you have to be, you know, you have to have many hours in the game to be patient, knowing that it's not going to run away from you. It's going to come back. Just that experience, guys. So, you know, from experience, I'm either taking this long trade or I'm taking this long trade. I'm not going to blindly long any of this, because, you know, the risk reward isn't favorable for the setup. That is just what it is, guys. So Ethereum plan remains unchanged. What is the plan? Well, if we reclaim this and test this as support, we're going to go long. Or if we come down to that 3,600 zone, we're going to go long again. That is the setup for Ethereum. I see Solana now is kind of looking weak as well. We're going to speak about this now quickly. Obviously, low to high over there. We're on that 50% level below the important EMAs. Solana's looking super weak, guys. I'm just going to quickly grab my laptop charger before my laptop dies. Yeah, so having a look at Solana, you can see it's on that 50% level right now of $175, and you want this bounce to happen right now. If we don't get a bounce now, you know, it could be over for Solana. This is the area where you want to have that bounce almost immediately for Solana. So, you know, and what you can see now is there's also this ascending support over here. Ascending support, and it looks like, you know, we are starting to break this zone over here. This was our zone to accumulate Solana. A couple of you guys asked what the zone was when we were trading up here. We did take that short. We got extremely lucky shorting on the morning of that move on that Friday. It was obviously months ago. Time flies at the moment, but not looking epic. You know, if you had to invert this chart, invert scale. If I had to invert this chart, I'd be looking at longs. Okay, if Solana gets above here and consolidates above here, I'm looking for longs. That this is bullish, and unfortunately, it is inverted. So, you know, this is looking bearish, in my opinion, guys. Solana bearish. Not interested in Solana. I think it's looking heavy. It's below the important EMAs. Ethereum at least has that 200 EMA, guys. Bitcoin looks like it's not happy with it at the moment. ETH at least has the 200 EMA, guys. ETH is the stronger play at the moment, in my opinion. And I'm going to go into the weekly time frame on ETH BTC quickly. Let's go to the weekly time frame. Bitcoin over here on the weekly time frame, losing that 21-week EMA over here. It's of course the weekly time frame, but, you know, this is a massive support zone, guys. So, you know, I wouldn't be, you know, I don't think Bitcoin's just going to do that. I think you will get a bounce, maybe another attempt to come into this 119 zone over there. But we came to speak about ETH BTC quickly because ETH BTC, I mentioned this a while ago, we had the bull cross. This doesn't happen often, guys. And of course, on the weekly time frame, we have to use different EMAs. We are using the 50 and the 21 over here. And, you know, we had that death cross over here. This was your warning sign to get out of Ethereum, March 23. Bull cross over there, 6th of October. It's actually last month on that weekly candle. And, you know, this more than often is enough to get price moving. So, you know, this is an important thing to consider. Ethereum against Bitcoin on the weekly time frame, reclaiming this, you know, ascending support over there. We are trading below it now, but it is Monday. Monday is often that false move Monday. But looking at ETH BTC on the weekly, this is huge support, guys. And you do expect that, you know, when you do get that golden cross and you come retest the price action, this is where you do expect, you know, to get a nice strong bounce. And looking at this price action over here, what you don't want to do is lose this zone over here. If you lose this zone, it's all over. It's all over. So, you know, you can be longing this whole zone over there, stop loss just below, something like that. And this is your good trading setup, guys. This is your 5-to-1 risk to reward over here on ETH BTC. So, you know, you can even be impatient and you can long at current levels at that 3-to-1 risk reward that we always speak about. Yeah, this is of course on the weekly time frame. This is a nice move to the upside. You know, nice 50% move on ETH BTC. Just a potential setup, guys. You know, one thing that is a huge cause to concern is going to be USDT dominance, guys. This is not looking epic for the bulls. USDT dominance on the daily time frame. You know, of course, Fibonacci from the high to the low over here, that halfway point coming in at 5.1%. We have had the golden cross, which is bullish. Anything that comes into these EMAs should get a strong bounce, and this should continue onwards and upwards, which is bearish for the crypto market, guys. Yes, we can get reject off here, but I spoke about, we've been knocking on the door. We've been knocking on the door. We're knock, and eventually the door's going to open, and we most likely going to see higher prices for USDT dominance, which does mean lower prices for the crypto market. So things do point a little bit south for the crypto market, but you know, that's part of the game. That is part of the game. We can go through some, you know, coins quickly. Total crypto markets on literally its last legs. You know, this is basically the last legs over there, last line of defense. Total 3, this of course excludes your Bitcoin and Ethereum. This is looking bearish. Underneath the 200-day EMA, taking out these lows over here, you know, closing below $980 billion is going to be scary. So not looking good. Total or others also not looking good. Spoke about the two setups. First setup was get above here, long 280 billion, and the other setup was get a long off the 50% of the wick. I spoke about this situation and said there's no point being in altcoins unless we get above 280 billion. If we're below 280 billion, you know, we're most likely going lower. And, you know, 50% of the wick, this was my target, bare minimum target over here. And it's looking very likely. If I put this on the line chart over here, it's looking like, you know, we've lost this. And the line chart takes price and time into consideration. It's your kind of weighted average, of course. So these lows have been lost from a, you know, weighted average point of view. Doesn't look like it has, but you know, the amount of time it's spent here is more than these candles over here. And I think this is going to the downside. I think all altcoins are dropping another, on average, 16%. So yeah, not bullish on altcoins, guys. I've had a very bearish stance for a while. Ondo, I see someone mentioned Ondo in the comments. Guys, this is on its way to 47 cents, 27% dump. Yeah, 50% wick, spoke about this, you know, on its way, lost the lows. I don't see anyone stepping in. You know, you could argue that, you know, this is these levels over here. Maybe someone's going to step in over here, potentially. 50 cents is a bargain, guys. 50 cents is a bargain. But, you know, if Bitcoin does go into a bear market, you don't want to be holding anything, guys. Nothing. Sui, same thing, guys. $1.60. That's what I'm looking for. Chainlink, 50% wick. I've gone over the 50% wick in multiple videos. $12.50 Chainlink over here. That's the zone. You can do this for all your altcoins and have a look at that 50% wick. You know, the 50% wick for Ethereum, this is a tasty deal coming up soon over there. XRP, been bearish on this one. Spoke about this trade setup. Basically shorting the bear cross if we do get into it and going down to the 50% wick coming in at $1.89. But yeah, guys, I'm honestly not interested in shorting. I prefer longing, and I prefer longing in a bull market. Yes, there is money to be made shorting, but I'd rather be focusing my energy on other things, guys. But guys, we are going to end the stream there. There isn't too much to talk about. We can go over, you know, some of the macros. Basically, US DXY pushing to the upside. You know, retesting that 200 EMA. This is going to be the make or break zone for DXY. Massive resistance. If we get above it, breakout onwards and upwards. Potentially bearish for gold and stocks and blah blah blah. Bullish for stocks and gold if this dollar does reject off the zone over here. But not too much happening, guys. Stocks are looking pretty strong. S&P is looking strong. You know, consolidating at all-time highs. Nothing really bearish about consolidating at all-time highs. But yeah, guys, we are going to end the stream there. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you guys later this week. Cheers for now.